Let's bow our heads. Most High Yahweh, creator of heaven and earth, we come before you, seeking wisdom. We ask you to open our eyes to see the chains we've put on ourselves, the idols we've allowed to stand in your place. Give us courage to examine our lives through your truth, not the world's illusions. Help us understand what true freedom really is, so we can walk in the path of righteousness through Yeshua. We ask for discernment to separate the necessary from the idolatrous. In Yeshua's name, so be it.
So be it. Shalom, family. I hope you're ready because, wow, that prayer was vital Today, we are probably going to step on some toes.
A few, yes.
And honestly, I've been reading through this outline and my own toes are already hurting. I am guilty of like half the stuff we're about to get into.
Well, you're not alone in that. We talk about freedom in these, big abstract terms, politics, philosophy.
Right.
But today we're looking at something very, very concrete, something that is probably sitting in the driveway of almost every single person listening right now.
We are doing a deep dive into a stack of research titled Chains of the Highway, Car Culture, and Kingdom Freedom. Oh, look, I get it. The American dream, right? It's the open road.
Windows down, music up.
Exactly. Going wherever you want, whenever you want. It's the ultimate symbol of, I made it.
It's the defining image of modern independence. From the time you're a kid, you're taught that the car key, that's the key to the world.
Right. But here's the central conflict, and this is where the source material just smacks you in the face right away. Did car culture actually make us free? Or, and this is the question that really got me, did it quietly put us in chains?
That is the core question. We're so conditioned to equate movement with liberty that we just rarely stop to count the cost of that movement.
So the mission for this deep dive is to look at this through a kingdom mindset. We have to explore how what the world calls liberty is often, and I'm quoting the source here, dependency disguised.
And we need to really define what freedom actually looks like for a servant, a follower of Yahweh.
Okay, so let's unpack that, this illusion of freedom. Because if you tell the average person on the street that their car is a cage, they're going to.
They'll look at you like you have three heads.
Exactly. They'll say, what do you mean? I can drive to Vegas right now if I want to.
True, you can. But the source brings up what we might call the adulting checklist. Think about everything that's required just to participate in this system.
Oh, don't even get me started. You turn 16, 18, and society basically just hands you a bill.
It's a rigorous list. You have to own a vehicle, but, ownership is just the entry fee.
Just to get in the door.
Right. Then you must insure it, mandatory by law. You have to register it with the state, also mandatory, maintain it mechanically, finance it, usually with interest, and then submit to this huge array of laws governing how you use it.
It's the life tax. That's what it feels like. I mean, in most American cities, if you don't have a car, you literally cannot work. You can't get to the grocery store to eat. You effectively can't live a normal life. I remember when my car broke down a few years back, and I felt like I just ceased to exist as a functioning human being. I couldn't do anything.
And that right there, that's the trap. So let me ask you, and challenge me on this. Does that sound like freedom to you? If your freedom requires monthly payments that keep you up at night, mandatory insurance payments, whether you drive it or not, and submitting to gas prices based on games you have no control over, is that freedom?
When you put it that way, it sounds less like freedom and more like a subscription service to reality.
Precisely. The source uses a very specific phrase, dependency disguised as liberty. You feel free because you can drive to the next town, but you are totally dependent on a system of debt, regulation, and resource extraction to do it.
Wow.
And, Yahweh warned his people about this kind of entanglement thousands of years ago.
Yeah.
We're cautioned not to put our trust in horses and chariots.
The ancient equivalent of the car.
Exactly. Why? Because they create this false sense of power, but in reality, they just deepen our reliance on the world system.
That's a powerful parallel. Horses and chariots. Today, it's horsepower and heated seats. But let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
I can hear someone listening thinking, okay, sure, it's expensive, but everything's expensive. Food, housing. Why is the car specifically anti-kingdom or anti-freedom?
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
And to answer it, we have to look at how we define freedom versus how Yahweh defines it. If the world's definition is, I can drive anywhere, anytime with no limits, what is Yahweh's?
I have a feeling it's not 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
No, not quite. To get it, we have to go back to the foundation. Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. And listen to the specific order of how Yahweh introduces himself. He says, I am Yahweh, thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
Okay, so he establishes himself as the liberator first. Before he drops the rules, he says, hey, remember, I'm the one who took the chains off.
Precisely. This is the paradigm shift. He's the breaker of chains before he gives the Ten Commandments. In our modern culture, especially American culture, we see laws as the opposite of freedom.
Right, don't tread on me.
We think if there's a law, I'm restricted. A red light infringes on my freedom. But from a kingdom perspective, Yahweh's laws aren't restrictions on your freedom, they're protections from bondage.
I love that. It's so hard to wrap your head around because we're just so conditioned to think rules equals bad. But it's like, imagine a playground on top of a skyscraper.
Okay, go on.
If there's no fence around the edge, the kids can't really play freely. They're terrified of falling off. But if you put a high, strong fence around the perimeter, that's the law, suddenly inside that fence, they can run wild. They are actually more free because of the boundary.
That is a perfect analogy. That fence isn't a prison, it's a sanctuary. The source quotes Psalm 19, verse 7, the law of Yahweh is perfect, converting the soul.
Converting the soul, not restricting the soul.
Exactly. When we operate within Yahweh's order, the soul is restored. When we operate outside of it, in what we call absolute freedom, the open highway with no rules, we end up enslaved. True freedom isn't limitless choice. It is right order under Yahweh.
Right order, something you don't see a lot of on the freeway at rush hour. It's just chaos and anger. Which brings us to the next part, and this is probably the most controversial part of this deep dive. The car as a modern idol.
This is where we have to be brutally honest with ourselves.
I know someone listening is rolling their eyes right now thinking, oh, come on, I don't bow down to my Honda Civic. I don't light candles for my Ford F-150. How is it an idol?
And that is the shallow understanding of idolatry that keeps us trapped. We think idols are just, golden calves or stone statues. But we have to go back to Exodus 20, verse 3. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. An idol is anything that dictates your life, your decisions, and your heart more than Yahweh does.
So it's a test of control. Who's actually in the driver's seat of your life? Pun intended.
It is a spiritual audit. And you have to ask yourself these questions honestly. What dictates where you live? Is it where the Spirit leads, or is it the commute time?
Oh.
What determines where you work? Is it a vocation that honors Yahweh, or is it a job you hate but you need it to make the car payment? What decides if you survive financially this month? For so many, the answer is the car.
Wow. When you put it like that, the source makes a really cutting point here about spiritual displacement. It says people pray more about car repairs and gas prices than they do about righteousness.
It's a tragedy, but it's true. Think about the intensity of prayer when the check engine light comes on.
Oh, that's the most fervent prayer of the year. Please, Yahweh, let it be the gas cap. Do not let it be the transmission. I will be a better person if it's just the gas cap.
Exactly. We plead with Yahweh to save our machinery, but are we pleading with that same passion for Him to save our character? And look at how it affects our worship. How many people miss Shabbat, the day of rest He commanded, because of car issues?
All the time.
Or they move so far away for a bigger house with a 3-car garage that they can't assemble with the brethren anymore because the drive's too long. They prioritize the storage of the vehicle over the gathering of the saints.
That hits home. I've definitely complained about driving 45 minutes to fellowship, but I'll drive that same 45 minutes to a store or an event and not even blink. It really shows where your heart is.
It exposes the heart. Or think about the people working ungodly hours. Literally, ungodly skipping rest, ignoring family, too tired to pray, just to maintain the vehicle that gets them to the job that pays for the vehicle.
It's a toxic relationship. If you had a friend who demanded all your money, made you work overtime, kept you from your family, and then broke down and left you stranded, you'd get rid of them.
You'd say this is abusive.
Right. But with our cars, we just say, well, that's life.
And that's life is the slogan of the enslaved. If your vehicle dictates your schedule more than Yahweh does, you are not free. The source says you are occupied. You are under occupation by a machine.
Occupied. That's a heavy word. It implies a hostile takeover. And the weapon used in that takeover is usually financial. Let's talk about the money chains, because this is where the rubber meets the road. The source brings up Proverbs 22.7.
The borrower is servant to the lender. There's no ambiguity there. It doesn't say the borrower is leveraging capital. It says servant. And think about the life trajectory of a young person in this culture. What is almost always the first major debt they take on?
It's a car note. Before a house, before marriage, sometimes before they even finish school. Turn 22, get a job, and bam, you sign a paper for 30 grand at 7% interest.
Exactly. Before they have wisdom, they have debt, and that debt is a chain. It shapes decades of decisions.
Yeah.
Once you sign that paper, you are no longer free. You can't just choose a job based on purpose or ministry if it pays less.
Yep.
You must choose based on the monthly payment. You stop choosing peace, you choose overtime. You stop choosing rest, you choose survival.
It's the golden handcuffs, except they aren't even gold anymore. They're chrome, and half of them are plastic.
And you contrast this with the Israelite way of life designed by Yahweh. In the kingdom structure, land was inherited, which gave you stability. Debts were released every 7 years. Servitude had strict time limits.
Right.
The American way, the car culture way, is work until you die to pay for things that rust. Yahweh says rest is holy. We've traded holy rest for highway stress. We have 84-month loans for vehicles that will be worthless in 60.
That math is just painful. And speaking of highway stress, let's talk about the movement itself. We feel like we're accomplishing so much because we're moving so fast, right? We're doing 70, 80 miles an hour. But the source argues this is just an illusion of progress.
It connects right back to Proverbs 14.12. There is a way which seemeth right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. We confuse movement with direction. You can be driving a Ferrari at 100 miles per hour, but if you're driving toward a cliff, that speed is not an asset, it's a liability.
That's a word right there. Movement without purpose is not progress. Just because the speedometer's climbing doesn't mean you're getting anywhere spiritually.
The kingdom of Yahweh is about direction. It's about orientation. Are you facing Jerusalem? Are you walking toward righteousness? The speed matters so much less than the destination. But car culture keeps us so frantic, always rushing, always late, always tired, that we never have the stillness to ask, where am I actually going?
And now you have to layer on the modern amplifier of all this, social media. You can't scroll for 5 minutes on TikTok or Instagram without seeing car reels.
Yes. The flex.
It's not just about getting from point A to B anymore. It's the aesthetic. It's guys revving the engine at a stoplight, showing off the rims.
It is the validation of vanity, a desperate cry for significance. And we see this culture of flexing everything, rims, engines, horsepower. It's display treasures upon earth. The source critiques this so sharply, noting that we often see people with no peace, no discipline, and no order showing off depreciating machines.
It's wild. You see a 60-second clip of a car that costs more than a house, and we're trained to think that person has won at life. But we don't see the credit score. We don't see the stress.
But what have they won? Matthew 6:1 warns us, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt. I mean, cars are the literal definition of rust and corruption. They start dying the moment they leave the factory. Yahweh is not impressed by horsepower. He's looking for obedience, humility, and discipline.
Right. A Hellcat won't save your soul. A lifted truck won't stand in judgment with you. I always think about that. When we stand before Yahweh, he isn't going to ask, so how is the suspension on your whip?
Precisely. He's going to ask, did you walk in my ways? And social media just broadcasts this idolatry. It creates envy. It creates a false hierarchy where the person with the loudest car is seen as the most successful. But in the kingdom, the one who serves the most is the greatest.
We've inverted the values completely.
Completely.
It's a huge reality check. We're chasing things that can't save us. So let's bring it all together. We've talked debt, idolatry, false freedom, the flexing.
Right.
How do we synthesize this? What's the core difference between the world's freedom and kingdom freedom?
The great contradiction is this. The world says freedom is no rules, no limits, I do what I want. Yahweh says freedom is walking in my commandments.
And the source quotes Psalm 119, verse 45 here.
Yes. And I will walk at liberty, for I seek thy precepts. Listen to that logic. I walk at liberty. Why? Because I seek your precepts. The liberty comes from seeking the law, not from escaping it.
Wow.
This is the concept the world cannot understand. They think the law is the chain, but the law is the key that unlocks the chain of sin and death.
That's the takeaway right there. We think we're breaking free by ignoring the rules, but we're just locking ourselves in a different, darker cell.
A cell with leather seats and a sunroof, maybe, but a cell nonetheless.
So as we wrap this up, what's the final word? Because we're not saying everyone needs to sell their car tomorrow and walk everywhere. What is the heart posture change?
The final exhortation from the source is, it's powerful. Cars reshaped our priorities, our time, our attention. They made us dependent on a system that does not love us.
Yeah.
Yahweh is calling his people back to simplicity, back to order, back to obedience.
It's a call to return, to possess our possessions instead of letting them possess us.
Exactly. We have to remember John 8.36. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. We have to stop looking for freedom on the dealership lot. You are not free just because you can flex. You're free when you can serve Yahweh without chains.
That's it. That's the mission. To serve Yahweh without chains, to be mobile in the spirit, not just on the asphalt.
And to recognize that the greatest journey isn't across the country. It is the walk of righteousness.
I want to leave you with this thought. We spend so much time maintaining our vehicles. Oil changes, tire rotations, car washes, because we know if we neglect them, they break down. We panic when we hear a rattle. When was the last time you performed that level of maintenance on your walk with Yahweh? When was the last time you checked the oil in your spiritual lamp with that same urgency?
A profound question. Let that marinate.
Thank you for walking through this with us. It's a tough topic, but a necessary one.
Shalom, family. Stay kingdom-minded.
Shalom. Remember, freedom isn't found on the highway. It's found in obedience. See you on the next deep dive.